Please donate to Give Directly, the nonprofit letting you send cash directly to the world's poorest families. When you donate to givedirectly.org/Pacman, a generous donor will match your donations up to $15,000, makes a perfect holiday gift. Help us reach $15,000 by the end of the year using the link below. The January 6th committee doesn't have much time left because Republicans are taking over the House in January. And Republican Adam Kinzinger now says that Donald Trump absolutely is guilty of crimes committed in advance of January 6th. There's a report from The Hill. Congressman Adam Kinzinger, Republican from Illinois, said Wednesday that former President Trump is, quote, absolutely guilty of a crime surrounding the January 6th riot at the Capitol. I think he's guilty of a crime. This is a quote. I mean, look, he knew what he did. We've made that clear. He knew what was happening prior to January 6th. He pressured the Justice Department officials to say, hey, just say the election was stolen and leave the rest to me. And then the Republicans all need to put the stamp of approval on it, Kinzinger told CNN's Jake Tapper on The Lead. Quote, I think he is absolutely guilty. If he is not guilty of some crime, of some kind of a crime, I mean, what we've basically said is presidents are above the law and they can do everything short of a coup as long as it doesn't succeed, Kinzinger said, though he gave the caveat that even as a member of the January 6th panel, he doesn't have the DOJ's power to press charges. Well, that we know. You could make the case that over the 4 years ending on January 6, 2021 or January 10th, 2021, Donald Trump committed dozens of counts of obstruction. Put that aside from possible sedition based on his actions, myriad conspiracy charges of all kinds associated with the Republican coup attempt, mishandling of classified documents, taking classified documents, and then in addition to that, minimum on the criminal side, think about all of the potential civil claims that could be made. Reminder that is important, which is if and until we have reason to revise our belief, it is pretty widely known that the Department of Justice, to some degree, accepts that a president is above the law. Not in a literal sense, but there is this convention that has taken place. And until we actually see the DOJ behave differently, we don't really have a reason to revise that perspective. So the January 6th committee will be meeting next week. They announced that yesterday. It's described as a business meeting. Business for them is a little bit different than what we consider to be business, but presumably they will be meeting to make a decision as to what, if any, criminal referrals they are going to make. The news from last week, the January 6th committee will be making criminal referrals. Will they in fact do that? And against whom remains to be seen. I am going to show you an unreal video of sweaty Donald Trump losing it in a free speech crushing video. We've said before, where's the policy? The Republicans have abandoned policy. Well, in this video, posted to Truth Social, Truth Central, and Rumble.
Truth Central.
Yeah. Donald Trump is announcing what sounds like policy, if indeed he were to again become president of the United States, and it is chilling. Look at this.
If we don't have free speech, then we just don't have a free country. It's as simple as that. If this most fundamental right is allowed to perish, then the rest of our rights and liberties will topple, just like dominoes, one by one. They'll go down. That's why today I'm announcing my plan to shatter the left-wing censorship regime and to reclaim the right to free speech for all Americans. And reclaim is a very important word in this case because they've taken it away.
Who?
In recent weeks, bombshell reports have confirmed that a sinister group of deep state bureaucrats, Silicon Valley tyrants, left-wing activists, and depraved corporate news media have been conspiring to manipulate and silence the American people.
Understand that that is not an accurate representation of the Twitter files. We have done numerous deep dives now into the Twitter files. No crimes were committed. Twitter's own terms of service were not violated. And Trump's White House had the same access to individuals at Twitter than did the Biden campaign.
They have collaborated to suppress vital information on everything from elections to public health. The censorship cartel must be dismantled and destroyed, and it must happen immediately. And here's my plan.
Here we go.
First, within hours of my inauguration, I will sign an executive order banning any federal department or agency from colluding with any organization, business, or person to censor, limit, categorize, or impede the lawful speech of American citizens.
Now remember, what's funny about that is it was the Biden campaign who would ask Twitter to remove pictures of Hunter Biden nude. Trump is talking about government actors. His administration was the one empowered to do that in the time described by the Twitter files. Trump is really talking about himself here. It's stunning.
I will then ban federal money from being used to label domestic speech as mis or disinformation. And I will begin the process of identifying and firing every federal bureaucrat who has engaged in domestic censorship, directly or indirectly, whether they are the Department of Homeland Security.
By the way, I don't know if you noticed that cut. This is clearly based on how much Trump is sweating and slurring, the type of video he needed 100 takes to get completed.
The Department of Health, Human Services, the FBI, the DOJ, no matter who they are. Second, I will order the Department of Justice
These cuts are just unbelievable.
to investigate all parties involved in the new online censorship regime, which is absolutely destructive and terrible, and to aggressively prosecute any and all crimes identified. These include possible violations of federal civil rights law, campaign finance laws, federal election law.
Now, I just, again, to try to inject some reality here, as an example, the MAGA people have been trying to make the case that when Twitter acted on removing nude images of Hunter Biden, which are illegal in most states and violate Twitter's terms of service, that helped the Biden campaign. Therefore, they argue it has monetary value. It was not disclosed as being of monetary value as a campaign contribution. Thus, it was a crime. No serious legal expert is buying even a crumb of that insane hypothesis.
Securities law and antitrust laws, the Hatch Act, and a host of other potential criminal, civil, regulatory, and constitutional offenses. To assist in these efforts, I am urging House Republicans to immediately send preservation letters, and we have to do this right now, to the Biden administration, the Biden campaign, and every Silicon Valley tech giant, ordering them not to destroy evidence of censorship. Third, upon my inauguration as president, I will ask Congress to send a bill to my desk revising Section 230 to get big online platforms out of censorship business. From now on, digital platforms should only qualify for immunity protection under Section 230 if they meet high standards of neutrality, transparency, fairness, and non-discrimination.
This is bonkers. I mean, this is just unreal. It's Trump not understanding anything, claiming he's going to do things he can't do and won't do, and hopefully will not even get the opportunity to do.
We should require these platforms to increase their efforts to take down unlawful content such as child exploitation and promoting terrorism, while dramatically curtailing their power to arbitrarily restrict lawful speech. Fourth, we need to break up the entire toxic censorship industry that has arisen under the false guise of tackling so-called myths.
The sad thing about this is that this is such meaningless drivel that his followers think is just God's gift to statements by candidates.
And disinformation. The federal government should immediately stop funding all nonprofits and academic programs.
All right, you get the picture. This is extremely free speech crushing. He wants to tell social media platforms what they have to publish. It's not sounding very much small government, is it? If Trump were to get another term, I assure you he would try to do these things. He would probably fail, but it's better not to even give him that opportunity. Absolutely deranged stuff. Unreal. Donald Trump has been humiliated after teasing a major announcement. And the major announcement is Trump digital trading cards, including one where Trump is dressed like an astronaut. I don't know how else to explain it. All day Wednesday, it was being teased that on Thursday, Trump was going to make a huge announcement. And speculation was, is he dropping out of the race? Is he announcing who his vice president is going to be? No. The announcement posted to Trump's Truth Social was as follows. Major announcement. My official Donald Trump digital trading card collection is here. These limited edition cards feature amazing art of my life and career. Collect all of your favorite Trump digital trading cards, very much like a baseball card, but hopefully much more exciting. Go to collecttrumpcards.com and get your cards now. Only $99 each would make a great Christmas gift. Don't wait. Will be gone, I believe, very quickly. This is a complete and total humiliation. A former president of the United States running again teases a major announcement. And the announcement is digital trading cards, one in which Trump is dressed like Superman, one in which he's dressed like an astronaut, and a bunch of others that are just completely bizarre and pathetic. Trump's major announcement teases for release of digital card collection, writes Brett Samuels for The Hill. While some speculated the announcement would be related to the speaker race playing out among House Republicans or Trump's largely inactive 2024 presidential campaign, it was instead about a new money-making outlet for the former president. Trump boasted about the cards. Sales are not affiliated with the campaign. The reveal elicited mockery from liberals and disbelief from conservatives. Folks, look at this website. We are on collecttrumpcards.com. There is a sweepstakes. Each digital trading card NFT is not only a rare collectible that automatically enters you into a sweepstakes for a chance to win thousands of incredible prizes and meet the one and only number 45. The cards are only $99 each. And you need a wallet. Folks, what the hell is going on? It's almost 2023. I don't think I would have guessed that Trump would be running for office, but not campaigning, not leaving his house, but making sweaty speeches that require 100 takes to get right while promoting digital trading cards. I didn't have that on my bingo card, I will admit. But it's going to be a wacky year. I hope all of you will be with us. Make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. And folks, Friday, December 23rd, okay? Year-end membership special, huge discount. Your first month's payment will be donated to charity. Okay, this is we've never done something like this before, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Okay, you get on my newsletter at davidpakman.com. Friday the 23rd, you'll get an email saying, here's how you get a membership with a large discount. You become a member. You get all the membership benefits, including the bonus show.
Oh, the bonus show where you want to make money.
Yeah.
Everybody else that makes money to fund themselves is
You get all of that. We take your first month's payment and donate it to charity. I will be saying more about the charity next week, but basically, we're sending people cash. It's a charity that sends people cash, which I believe is the best way to actually help people. Get on the newsletter at davidpakman.com. More info next week. Over this holiday season, please remember how many families around the world are living in extreme poverty. Our partner, Give Directly, is the nonprofit letting you send cash directly to the world's poorest households. Help the David Pakman Show reach our goal of $15,000 by the end of the year at givedirectly.org/Pakman. A generous Give Directly donor will match all donations up to $15,000 to help us hit that goal, so your donation can have double the impact. Giving in someone's name is a great last-minute holiday gift When organizations give cash to families like this, about 90 cents on the dollar get to the recipient, versus sometimes as little as 50 cents on the dollar in terms of relative impact with many other programs. That's why I reached out to Give Directly about doing this with us. Give Directly is how you know every dollar you donate is going to good use. Giving even a few dollars can have a massive impact for someone living on a dollar or two a day. Help us reach $15,000 by December 31, and your donation will be doubled. Go to givedirectly.org/Pacman. The link is down below. The David Pacman Show is, of course, a community-funded program. We depend on the bonus show and actually the membership program in general to support the work that we do. You can sign up at joinpacman.com. You can use the coupon code 24 starts now. And as a reminder, Friday, December 23rd, we will be doing our end of the year membership special, wherein you will get a discount off of your membership if you use a certain code. Your first month's payment will be donated back through Give Directly, and it will be doubled. It will be double your impact. We've never done something like this before, and I'm super excited. Just get on my mailing list at davidpacman.com, and then you'll get all the info on Friday, December 23rd. Let's hear from people in the audience. We take calls weekly via Discord at davidpacman.com/Discord. We are going to start today with Daniel in Raleigh. What is the right pronunciation, Daniel? I never remember.
It's Raleigh.
Raleigh. Welcome to the program, my friend.
How are you doing, Mr. Pacman?
I'm doing well.
So my question is, what is your opinion on the legalization/decriminalization of marijuana at the federal level?
I am completely in favor of legalization at the federal level.
And then the kind of follow-up question is, what do you think is needed for this to actually happen in Congress? Like, obviously it wouldn't happen right now with the split Congress, but...
Well, there's a couple of different ways that it could happen. I actually think more likely than just it's federally legalized, it would be it's federally rescheduled so that it's no longer Schedule 1. More states continue to legalize. And then there's probably intermediate steps. I don't actually think the most likely outcome is just a flat out legalization federally right away. I think there's going to be a bunch of intermediate steps.
Could you briefly explain the intermediate steps?
Yeah. So, for example, first it would be rescheduled to no longer be Schedule 1. More states would legalize. There would be something more formal from the federal government that no federal law enforcement resources will be used to go after state level cannabis. You know, we would have, I don't know exactly every single step, but it would be a sort of off ramp in my mind.
All right. Thank you so much for your question.
No, the question was yours. I hopefully I provided the answer.
Taking my question.
No problem. I appreciate the call.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, there is Daniel. Let's go next to Grant from Iowa City. Grant, welcome to the program. What's on your mind?
Hey, David. Great to talk with you again.
Likewise.
So I'd like to have a variety of different perspectives I hear from in many areas of life, just to further develop my own ideas about how I truly feel about things. And I also think it's good to learn how people feel about any given topics so that I can empathize with them better and connect with them better. But I usually don't have an issue doing this, except when it comes to politics. I have a hard time finding anyone who's really interesting or valuable to listen to on the right. I was just wondering if you had anyone you could think of that would be someone I guess worth listening to, because I find usually they're either ignorant or overly arrogant or even just rude, perhaps, and it's kind of a waste of time. But I would like to actually, engage with some ideas that I disagree with. But,
I don't have anybody specific. I mean, well, so is there a particular issue on which you would like such a person?
Not really, I guess. I think just in general.
General right-winger. I don't know. I wish I had someone to recommend, but I really don't at this point in time.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you would. I know you're busy doing your own thing. But, yeah, it's just because, and I have a fair number of close relatives and friends who are conservative, but they don't get too involved politically. And so it kind of like, well, they don't really think through the issues too much. It's kind of just, their gut reaction to things based on whatever, their upbringing or their theological views or whatever. But
and do you
so
like engaging with those people, or is it more of an annoyance?
Oh, I enjoy it. It's just, I feel like we don't really get down to the nitty gritty of stuff because it's pretty surface level. And the minute, I start trying to talk about something more deeper level, they either get kind of lost in it or they just lose interest or whatever. Because I mean, as far as actual political commentators, I've like tried listening to like Ben Shapiro, and it's like
it's pretty painful. Yeah,
name on the right, but I just like can't really do it. He's so
no, I don't blame you. I don't. What I would suggest is rather than just like finding that stuff, find some books that maybe would give you a more sensible panorama on some of these right-wing ideologies from like more traditional conservatives. I still don't really know exactly who I'd recommend, but I would go that direction rather than trying to figure out, by listening to Ben Shapiro.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
All right, my friend. Thank you for the call.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
All right. Very good. There is Grant. Very, very strong. Let's go next to, Elias from Pennsylvania. Elias, welcome to the program. What's on your mind today?
Hey, David, I haven't called in a while. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
I have been listening to a whole bunch of leftist streamers recently.
Okay.
And the idea I've been getting is that we need a more cohesive online left to take advantage of, the Gen Z voter base that showed itself most recently.
Sure.
And we don't really have a cohesive message. And I was wondering if you had any ideas for gathering the online left to have a more, a stronger online community.
The reason that this is really tough is that by definition, the left is a little more fractured in that I feel, are more resistant to just wanting to be part of like one big tent to some degree, because we often allow the perfect to become the enemy of the good. And what I don't like sometimes seeing on the left is people who are aligned on 90% of issues saying, I can't be with this person or that person in the same coalition because of the 5 or 10% on which we differ. And I think that fundamentally gets in the way of building the bigger consensus like you're talking about. I would love to see that to a great degree. I don't know who would organize it. And I think that there's something about the left that is more antithetical to welcoming and accepting that. So I'd have to devote some more thought to it. I love the idea. I think the left needs to be better organized. I just don't know exactly what the hub or the crux of it would be. Hello? Hello? Well, I guess he's gone. Okay, that was weird. How about UDEF from Florida? UDEF, welcome to the program. What's on your mind? You've muted yourself, which is why I can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself, UDEF.
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, all right. So the issue wasn't on my end. Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, David. Good to hear from you. I had a question about Ron DeSantis overtaking Trump in primary polls.
Yes.
So my question is, do you think in a hypothetical Trump loss to Ron DeSantis that Trump will then claim voter fraud? And how do you think his base will react to this claim?
Oh, you're thinking ahead in a very logical way, which is imagine Trump fights for the nomination but loses it to DeSantis. Trump will absolutely say the rhinos had it in for him and all that type of thing. I believe that at that point, this would be like July of 24 at this point. I believe at that point, the vast majority of the Republican electorate is not going to go for it. I don't think they're going to buy. I think it's just going to be too much, and they'll just say, "No, you know what? DeSantis is who we voted for. DeSantis is who we want. It wasn't stolen," and then that's it.
Yeah, I'm curious about it because when he lost in Iowa to Ted Cruz, he also claimed fraud. And granted, Ted Cruz is not nearly as popular as DeSantis is.
Right.
But it seems to not really follow any kind of logical consistency with the base as
Correct.
to who is doing the fraud.
I agree with you completely. And this is the thing. At first, it was only Democrats who did the fraud, but then it was Democrats and the establishment Republican rhinos. And then it inflates and deflates to fill whatever role it's supposed to fill. And it's the hammer he has. So everything looks like a nail.
Got it. Thanks, David.
My pleasure. Great to hear from you. Very, very powerful stuff there. Okay, it seems like whatever technical issues there were not on my end, which is good news. So we're going to continue moving on here. Let's go to Sammy from New York City. Sammy, welcome to the program. Welcome back, I should say.
Oh, hi, David.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thanks for taking my call. This is a question, not really about politics, but sort of. Why is it that in healthcare, the dental coverage isn't included in healthcare? And isn't that something good that a politician could run on, is trying to get that into place? Because dental health is so important.
This is a major issue, which is a lot of people say, why is it that dental health insurance is typically not included, except for children, by default in health insurance? Why have we taken this one aspect of health, oral health, and said this one thing is separate? It's a completely separate thing. It doesn't really make any sense. And there are all sorts of historical reasons involving moneyed interests and lobbyists, et cetera, as to why that's the case. Quite frankly, the answer is it should be all part of the same thing. There's no reason people should have to get separate dental insurance. It also, by the way, by making it a separate thing, suggests to people, you've got all your real health stuff here. And then there's kind of like this other thing, which is dental health. It's not really that important. It's separate. That's why we've categorized it separately, which is completely wrong. So it's basically money in healthcare is the reason why, by default, dental insurance is not included. And by the way, I have not had dental insurance for, I guess it's 12 years since I went off of my parents' insurance, because I went to my dentist at that point and I said, with tears in my eyes, I'm, big, strong guy. My dentist is a big, strong guy. And I said to him, I'm going to lose. Should I be buying, because I'm self-employed, should I be buying this dental insurance? And he started crying and said, with tears in his eyes, if you can believe it, Sammy, I wouldn't do it. Your dental health is pretty good. Think about it. You've got 2 cleanings a year. I tend to get little cavities. On average, you've got a couple little cavities a year. That's at the time that was like $500. The dental insurance would have been the exact same amount, but it only covers up to a maximum benefit of like $1,200. So there was this tiny window where the dental insurance made sense. So I've self-insured on elements of dental ever since, and I'm fine with it. But let's be honest, it should be part of health insurance.
Oh, yeah, because so many people, they don't go to the dentist. It brings on so many other health issues that you don't, people might think are not related, but it's your whole body, it's your whole wellness.
Absolutely.
And it's so important. And it's just something, because I just went to the dentist too. And I was like, thank God everything's good. But I'm just like, what's with, why isn't it combined? It's really so annoying. And I think in a lot of ways, it's something people don't really even think about. Why are they combined? Why are they not combined?
Absolutely.
And it's something maybe, maybe a politician might bring that up at some point. I don't know. But
I have heard it brought up, and I am with you, Sammy. I appreciate you bringing it up.
Yeah, and I'm so happy that you're well with COVID. That you're past it, and I hope you don't have any rebounds. Or I'm so scared of getting it. I've never had it. Knock on wood. I'd never want it.
Yep.
But I'm so glad, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
The pleasure is all mine, Sammy. Thank you for the call.
Me too. Oh, thank you. Have a good day.
All right, folks, let's take a very quick break, but we're not done with calls. We're going right back to calls in a moment. I just need a very brief pause, and then we'll go right back to it. Stand by. Don't forget that the best way to support the David Pakman Show is by becoming a member, which gives you access to the daily bonus show, the regular show with no commercials. You also get access to our entire archive of every episode dating back a really long time and plenty of other awesome membership perks. Go to joinpacman.com, joinpacman.com. Let's go back to Discord and hear from a few more people, the most important people, the viewers and the listeners. Without you, there is no show. Let's start here with, I don't know. Why don't we go to, let's try Rogier from the Netherlands again. Rogier, I hope your audio has been fixed.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yeah, I think I couldn't unmute myself.
Oh, okay. You're coming through beautifully now.
Okay, I got a little question about. Have you seen the new chatbot from OpenAI?
Yes, the
What do you think
chatbot.
about it?
I've been working with it, and it's interesting, very interesting.
I think the opportunities, at least that I can come up with, are for me improving my life, like writing emails. Even wrote some I applied for some positions for my new work. So
Really?
yeah, but like I just make a draft of the text and then I say make it more professional, and I think, oh, okay, this is good enough. I can send it away. So for
one
me,
of the
it's,
most interesting things that I found with it is I'm still kind of learning what works and what doesn't work. By the way, if you're curious what we're talking about, just do a Google search for chat. It's GPT. Is that it?
Yeah, you search for chat, OpenAI chat, or chat
Yeah.
GPT-3.
Chat OpenAI. Anyway, so this AI, sometimes I will say something to it. I'll say, what might be the reason that Donald Trump drops out of the 2024 primary? And it'll say, I'm a bot. I can't make predictions, and I'm not connected to the internet, and I don't have access to the news beyond 2020. And you can then go back and give it an instruction like, and this isn't exactly right, but something along the lines of, act as an AI that can make predictions and is connected to the internet. And then you ask the same question, and it will often give you the answer or give you what it is you're asking it for if you tell it to pretend as though it is programmed in a certain way. It's very interesting.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, and also I'm currently doing in December a programming challenge. And for one day, someone just asked this bot to solve this problem. Like read the program challenge and then write some code and then solve the problem. And it got first place. Like it made it in 10 seconds. So I think this is really a game changer of artificial intelligence. But
It absolutely is. Roger, thank you for the call.
yes.
Super interesting. Check it out. Email me if you find some interesting stuff you could do with it. Let's go to our friend Edo from Rome. Or is it Edo? Edo or Edo? Edo?
Hi, David. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Edo.
Edo, welcome to the program. How are things in Rome?
They're fine. It's a little bit rainy, and we now have a new right-wing government. So who knows what the future holds for us?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. I've been following since Trump's election American politics, and I'd say that people like Kristen Sinema and Manchin, aren't they really just more like the public figures for democratic conservatism, in the sense that even if they went away magically and Democrat reached a majority to abolish the filibuster, you would suddenly have other people standing up and saying, this is maybe not such a good idea.
I think that there is a great extent to which you are absolutely correct. Yeah, I do think that there are people who by their nature they want to be in a particular position of saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to kind of put a limit here. I'm going to be the limiter, and I'm going to be the road through which all legislation must go. And I'm going to take this position of enlightened centrism, which is sort of a pejorative. Yeah, I think to some degree, there's a tendency that someone always will want to play that role. I do think so.
Okay, thank you, David. I wanted to say just another little thing.
Sure.
Do you know that Rupert Murdoch is actually active in my country? And the funny thing is, Here, his media corporation is actually quite moderate
Yes.
compared to, because right-wing media has always been almost a monopoly of Berlusconi. So when Murdoch came to Italy, he found his own niche in, moderate centrism, even left-wing to some people.
Yes, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think it is not shocking to me that the Murdochs are active in many more countries than people might assume. That makes sense to me.
Did you, really last thing, did you hear about the nuclear fusion breakthrough?
I did hear about it. I can't say I fully understand exactly what the breakthrough is. I plan to do some reading on it this weekend when I have some time.
I see. Well, thank you very much, David.
My pleasure. Great to hear from our Italian friends, of course. Remember that if you would like to chat with me, your nickname in the waiting lobby on Discord needs to be your name and where you are calling from. Your name and where you are calling from. And like obvious nicknames and jokes just get skipped just so people understand that. That's an important consideration, I think, to keep in mind. Okay, let's try again with Nate from Rhode Island to see if the technical issues have abated. Nate, are you with us now?
Absolutely. How's it going, David?
It's going well.
So I want to elaborate on a previous call I had. So now that we have 51 seats, we can start our own investigations. We can fast track judges. That part I'm especially excited for.
Good.
Now, I don't know if Biden is for packing the Supreme Court. I'm pretty sure he said or expanding, I should say, but I'm pretty sure he's not. So I don't really have too much hope there. Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yep.
And also, I'm pretty excited with how fast the special counsel's been working. He's been working daily. I mean,
indeed.
Hey, I appreciate it. Yeah. Hey, other than that, that's about all I had to say. I got a driving lesson today, so wish me luck there.
Wait, so you're teaching or you're receiving, you're learning to drive?
Learning to drive through AAA.
Really? How old a guy are you?
23, so I'm a little older, but not too old.
And what is it about? What so many people are so eager to get their driver's licenses as soon as possible, but I know things have changed from when I was 16. What made you wait years and years before doing this?
Very good question. Thank you. Yeah, so I've really just never needed to take driving lessons. I've had parents that have been able to drive me around, so I've just never really needed it. Yeah, and the situation has changed a bit, so now I'm like, all right, so I'll take up driving lessons now.
And it was never appealing to say like, well, even if I mostly don't need to drive, it'd be great to be able to rent a car if I needed one, or it never was appealing until now.
It's not that I was never appealing. It's just that I never really needed to,
You didn't need it. Interesting. Do you find that you are, well, I guess you can't say because you didn't drive at 16, but I'm wondering like my mom started driving a lot later than a lot of people, and she like doesn't drive on the highway and doesn't like driving fast. She's definitely like more tentative. Do you find that to some degree, maybe compared to other drivers,
Yeah, I mean, I was so careful that I had to, on my last lesson, I had to be told to speed it up a little bit. So I'm pretty careful, yeah.
Interesting. All right, well, Nate, listen, I hope the lesson goes well and you have your license before we know it.
Hey, thank you very much. Yeah, road test is scheduled for March 1st. Hoping for the best there.
Beautiful. All right, there is Nate from Rhode Island learning to drive. You love to see it. I love to see people develop skills. It's a really great thing. Let's go to Brad from California. Brad, welcome to the program. What's on your mind today?
Hello, David. I just have like one question. Like, now that the GOP got a House majority, but a more narrow one than the polls said,
yes,
are they going to try to initiate any investigations onto President Biden and his family?
Yes. I mean, listen,
why do you think so?
They're telling us. We should believe them when they tell us. They're saying we are going to investigate Hunter Biden. We're going to investigate Joe Biden. We might investigate the 2020 election in the way we want to investigate it. Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to impeach Biden, although former Congressman Joe Walsh told us he doesn't think that's going to happen. Yeah, they're saying they're going to do it, and I believe them.
Yeah, and I just want to ask, why do you think they are going to do it? Like, just to stall time, not to pass any legislation, just to try to stall Biden and his presidency?
They are going to obstruct legislation anyway, so why not do these politically motivated investigations, which maybe will hurt Biden and Democrats in 24 if they were to turn something up, or if Democrats react in a way that's bad for them. I mean, look, take a shot and see if maybe it'll help them in 24 to do these investigations. Why not? Why not try? They've got nothing else.
I mean, yeah, they got like bad congressmen, like they got people like Marjorie Taylor Greene who makes serious like dumb remarks like the okay, sorry, I can't speak.
You're making absolute perfect sense, Brad.
Yeah, sorry. I'm like the GOP does have congress people like Marjorie Taylor Greene who,
yes,
based on all the remarks that I've seen her make over the years, like just like a crazy extremist.
Absolutely. Brad, listen, how old a guy are you?
I'm 14.
14. Wow. And you're paying attention to American politics, huh?
Yep. I'm a political guy and a teenager.
That's fantastic. It's an honor to take your call, Brad.
Yeah, I gotta go now.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to keep you. All right. Hope you don't get in trouble for the call from your parents or anything like that. There's Brad, 14 years old, from California. Very, very important stuff. Let's go next to Sam from Minnesota. Sam, welcome to the program. What is on your mind today?
Hi. I'm remembering when you talked about Latinx a little while ago.
Yes.
I mean, I never understood why people say it that way, Latinx, instead of like Latino, Latina, Latinx, like Kleenex. I wouldn't use it myself, but if I did, I would use it.
Yeah, listen, the pronunciation is the least of my concerns with it. I'll tell you that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I want to hear your opinion as a Latino about what I think is realistically the alternative to that. Like, the English language doesn't have a lot of gendered terms, and some of the ones it does are going away, like actor, actress, is just actor now for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I think the most likely outcome is that it's Latino. There is no Latina, everything's Latino. So if I'm right, what do you think of that? And second, do you think I'm right or wrong?
So I'm going to opt out of the prediction part. Humans are terrible at making predictions. What do I know? Maybe. Your idea is, if I understand it correctly, is as follows. Instead of adding a degendering third word, instead of Latino for male and Latina for female, Latinx or Latinx, okay? You're saying Latino is used by everyone, so it simply no longer denotes gender. Hi, I'm a Latino woman. I'm a Latino man. It's all Latino. That's the idea.
Exactly.
Okay. I have absolutely no idea whether that will happen, and I have no interest whatsoever in making it happen. But what I will say is the following. It should come from the community. It shouldn't be imposed by mostly non-Latino Americans because it's right or better, right? It should come from the ground up. If Spanish speakers all over the Spanish speaking world decide we want to do that, then sure, do it. But for me, it's working fine the way it is right now.
Oh yeah, I don't know if it'll happen in Spanish. I just think it'll happen that way in English.
Oh, in English. Oh.
Yeah. So Spanish can do whatever it wants, but like if you're talking in English,
yeah,
you know, I think that as an English speaker, it's just going to be Latino is everything.
I thought it already was that way in English. I never hear anyone in English say Latina.
Well, I don't know. I hear people speaking English and they'll say Latina, but maybe they're using it in a Spanish way for lack of a better word.
All right.
So
I guess I haven't heard that. Well,
yeah,
I don't know. The way it is. Yeah. It's an interesting idea. All right, very good. Thank you for the call. Oh, they seem to be gone already. Boy, all sorts of crazy stuff going on today. Let's go to Adam from North Carolina. Adam, please, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, David. Last time I called in was about bumper stickers a long time ago.
Please, great to have you here.
I have to say, Ron DeSantis, I'm not a fan of him, but he's going to steamroll Trump. And if it's Biden, he's going to steamroll Biden.
You think, huh? What evidence do you have to suggest that?
Well, I wasn't so much into Ron. I don't like him. But then I started looking into him and I was like, this guy went to Harvard. He went to Yale. He went to Naval Justice School. He's got a really strong background that's going to be like on paper, he looks good.
Well, one of the funny things about that is sometimes going to Harvard is good if you're a Republican, and sometimes it's proof that you're some kind of woke leftist. It's very funny, the Harvard thing, whether they like people who went to Harvard or didn't. It kind of depends whether they're left or right wing. But you're getting to something that I've said before, which is I think Ron DeSantis pretends to be much dumber than he actually is.
Yes. I truly believe he's the 4D chess player. Trump's the guy who pretends to play 4D chess. The
part I do hesitate on with DeSantis is he's so uncharismatic. And I don't know that you can, he can dumb himself down to appeal to Florida voters from his Harvard education, but it's hard to create charisma where there is none. And on a national campaign, I just don't know what that would be like. We're going to have to wait and see.
I agree. It's going to be interesting, and I'm sure everything's going to be revving up here soon. Thank you for taking my call, David.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for calling in. Thanks to everyone who called in. We're going to take a break, and we will take calls again in 2022. 2023 is not here yet, and the phone calls will continue. Quick break. Be right back. If you value what we do at The David Pakman Show, remember to support us on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/David Pakman Show, where you can get access to behind-the-scenes videos, the daily bonus show, the commercial-free daily show, as well as special discounts on merch, including hats, hoodies, mugs, and t-shirts. You can support the show for as little as $2 a month. Check it out at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. All right, let's get to the mailbag for the week. You can write info@davidpakman.com if you have something to say, a question, a comment, a complaint, a demand for an apology or a retraction, which are very, very frequent on the program. Sometimes we'll also highlight a YouTube comment or a Twitter message or something else. I do want to, I keep getting the question, David, are you getting hit with more anti-Semitism since the Kanye, Nick Fuentes stuff has sort of been mainstreamed? I get a lot of anti-Semitism anyway, but it's definitely higher and more frequent, and people just seem more willing to say certain things. Here's just like one example. Paul wrote on YouTube, David Pakman, shameless Jew who often has a hard on that he is proud of. This idea of a shameless Jew is, it's not like you're using the K word, but this is actually a pretty gross thing, which is the idea that you should be ashamed if you are a Jew, as Paul says here. And a lot of these ideas are very pervasive among the anti-Semitic right. You should be ashamed. You shouldn't leave your house. You shouldn't have a YouTube channel, certainly. You should be hiding your face and hiding out in general. But yes, significant amounts of anti-Semitism since, and I believe as a result of the normalization of such anti-Semitism due to some pretty prominent people, including Kanye. Next message is from Luap, also coming to us from YouTube. Luap says, Pakman, you are a commie. Why do you not move to China? Well, I'm not a communist. I don't speak any Chinese dialect. I don't know anybody in China, and I have no interest in moving to China. Why are you trying to change America to a communist system? I'm not a communist. Just move. MAGA will never let this country change without now these are capitalized just like Trump does, major dust up. Prepare yourself, it is coming. Now, of course, this is an allusion to violence. It's important to understand when folks say, we're going to do a lot to prevent this country from becoming communist. They're talking about violence. They're not talking about signing a petition. They're not talking about a letter writing campaign. They're talking about violence, often involving firearms. And now, at the same time, the U.S. isn't actually about to become communist, so I don't really know that anything's going to happen because that's not going on. Let's go next from YouTube over to Facebook. Facebook, where Greg wrote in and said, you are the biggest hypocrite on everything. Democrats are taking the law and order form this great country. People like you are the problem. Typical Democrat. Now, we've talked about the law and order stuff a bunch now. The right loves to say, we are for free speech. We never want to censor or limit speech until they do. And then you go on Truth Social and you see that you're not allowed to post about the January 6th insurrection, depending on what you post, and on and on and on. They're for speech, but not really. Well, they are certainly against regulating businesses, right? Businesses must be allowed to do whatever they want all the time. We're against regulating businesses. But social media platforms, though, should be forced to publish our right-wing messages. Social media platforms should be regulated to be forced to publish our COVID disinformation, but we're against regulating businesses. And then, of course, we get to, we're for law and order. Well, on January 6th, hundreds of your people committed all sorts of different crimes in Washington, D.C., and now your concern isn't, let's make sure we prosecute lawbreakers. It's, they're being treated unfairly, they shouldn't be held in pretrial detention, and on and on and on. All of these are just talking points. They don't mean any of it. They're not really the party of law and order. Jordan wrote in and said, are you a FN idiot? And then they said, here's a suggestion. Go get your brain checked out, you Democrat-loving loser. This will be the last one of this style, and then we'll get on to more substantive stuff. The reason I highlight this one continues to be, I'm not a Democrat. I don't care about the Democratic Party. I see the Democratic Party essentially as a corporation whose primary objective is its own self-preservation and self-aggrandizement. I see it as having worthier political goals than the Republican Party, yes, but I'm not a Democrat, and quite frankly, I don't care about the Democratic Party. And yet, I regularly get messages like this, which, by the way, conflict with, you're a communist. The actual communists hate the Democratic Party. They see it as almost indistinguishable from the Republican Party and a tool of all the same special interests. So am I a communist, a group that hates the Democratic Party, or am I a Democrat? I'm actually neither. I'm an unaffiliated, when it comes to political party, social Democrat. That's what I am. It's very, very simple. Okay, next message is from Grant. Grant brings up a great question about LGBT community title and says, hello, David. I've noticed you've recently started using the term LGBTQ instead of LGBT to refer to the community. I'm curious what inspired you to make the adjustment. Should this be a change that all of us in the progressive movement adopt, or is it simply a personal preference? I'm happy to make a correction in my speech if necessary. Hope you and your loved ones have fully recovered from COVID. Thanks for your hard work and excellent content. You know, I didn't even know. I'm not, in my mind, I still say LGBT, but I guess it is true. I've used LGBTQ to some degree recently. I think part of it may be if I'm reading an article, if we're using as a source an article that says LGBTQ, I will say LGBTQ. I know, I believe the Q means queer, which I think is more of it's a vague term. It's not, oh, well, I'm a lesbian. Okay, so, okay, you're a woman attracted to other women. I think Q is queer and it's a more general term. I'm glad to include it. In my mind, I use the term LGBT. I think everybody knows what community I'm talking about. And certainly whichever term I'm using, I'm not trying to exclude anyone. That's for sure. Okay, here, divergent views among my audience about the Brittany Griner situation. Many of you do not think that she should have been brought home in this prisoner swap. Here is someone, Mike, who wrote in about the clown show and says, David, Brittany Griner should be compelled to finish her incarceration in an American prison now that she's been released from Russian custody thanks to President Biden. What a clown show. Let's all feel sorry for a jock who deliberately flaunted Russian law. I think you mean flouted, actually. Flouted Russian law, got caught, tried in a Russian court, sentenced, only to be released because of President Biden's negotiations. What a effing joke. Short and pithy enough. Well, it doesn't really make sense that she finish her sentence in the US because what she did, In the US, what she did is differently criminalized than in Russia. So it doesn't really make sense. It's sort of like saying, oh, someone was gay in another country that criminalizes being gay. We got them out, but now they should finish their sentence in the US. Well, in the US, being gay isn't a crime. So that doesn't really make any sense. Now, I do understand people having the view that this was the wrong intervention for Joe Biden to make, that it's actually Paul Whelan who should have been freed, etc. But serve the rest of her sentence here. That doesn't make any sense. Part of why the U.S. intervened was because the sentence was deemed to be unfairly harsh. Okay, Spencer wrote in about religion and says, hi, David, do you think Jews are better people than Christians? Oh, come on, guys. I don't think they commit very many crimes in the USA, and I've never heard of a Jewish terrorist. I'm sure much of the hate in the USA is from Christians, whereas Jews are more tolerant people. So, first of all, I'm against the idea of better people. So no, I don't think Jews are better people than Christians. I think all people are we might see individuals who do immoral things, which we criticize, but the idea of groups of people that are better, this is not the way I think about things. So I would not, no, it's a no from me. Let's just leave it there. It's an interesting message, but one I'm not sure what else to say about. Jay Fron made a YouTube comment and says, well said, David. As a Jew, this is about the Kanye anti-Semitism. Okay. Jay Fron says, well said, David. As a Jew, this at first was goofy, but has quickly become extremely disturbing and honestly frightening. Having Kanye as a massive cultural figure and influence in society, I see many people now repeating Kanye's rhetoric, and I'm very worried this will just continue to escalate. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are arguing, and sometimes they'll write in, who cares what a musical artist and designer, clothing designer, Kanye, says about Jews? Just don't pay any attention. Just ignore him. That's it. Just ignore him. But the unfortunate reality is, not only does Kanye have a very large megaphone, not because of the coverage of his anti-Semitism, but because of his own megaphone, but also a lot of the people that are hearing his message about Jews are people who are a much blanker slate. Folks that listen to like my show, for example, are probably aware of the history of anti-Semitism, and they've sort of been inoculated to it because they already understand a lot of these talking points and anti-Semitism. Imagine that you aren't familiar with that history, and suddenly Kanye, a musical artist you admire, or maybe a clothing designer, you really like the pants that he designed or something like that, or the boots, I don't know. You don't really have any protection against this disinformation. And Kanye saying the Jews are controlling this and they're conspiring to control that, and they did this bad thing to me, and a Jewish doctor tried to get me killed by giving me medication, all this stuff. That starts to become your worldview. So I actually do think it is very important to take it head on and to do everything we can to prevent Kanye from becoming the authority on Jews in the minds of many of these people. That's my view. I think Jay Fron is saying something very similar. We have such a great bonus show for you today. Sign up at joinpacman.com, get instant access, and we will see you then with the coupon code 24 starts now. Because it did. 24 is off and running. We will see you then.
Thanks a lot for watching today's show. I just want to take a second to tell you about today's sponsors.
Please donate to Give Directly, the nonprofit letting you send cash directly to the world's poorest families. When you donate to givedirectly.org/Pacman, a generous donor will match your donations up to $15,000, makes a perfect holiday gift. Help us reach $15,000 by the end of the year using the link below.